Hello and good evening, and thank you for joining us for this particular bulletin. My name is Rona Nahabwe with Winnie Wiyinzanaka, which in the sign language. It's the last day of September. We are looking forward to a fruitful new month. And in today's bulletin, we are beginning on a sad note. The heavy rainfall today left one business plaza on Kampala Road with damages. The rain that started around 2 p.m. had a hurricane that partitioned glasses of the prison plaza, damaging 2 cars and 2 boda-bodas that were parked on the roadside. Fortunately, no deaths of tenants or businessmen were recorded, and we do have details this report.
Wano embeera nejjanga eraga nti enkuba egenda kutonnya wabula esoose kuleeta kibuyaga omuyitirivu ennyo ne tutegulawo pikipiki zaffe.
We've been here and the clouds show that it wants to rain, but it started with a lot of storm. We removed our motorbikes to the veranda amidst the heavy storm. We had something fall. Then glasses spread all over the road. Looking there, motorcycles were left all down and parts spread all over the road. As for us, we were inside waiting for the rain to stop, and then we had something bursting. At first, I thought it was an aeroplane, but only to see it was glasses from the building. However, nothing has been spoiled apart from the boda-bodas on the side and these cars.
Ezifunye obuzibu ekitone nnyo ziringa 6 n'eziyinza n'okubanga ziwere 10 naye ate si zaffe bammemba abakolera wano.
The motorcycles that were spoiled were like 6 to 10, but they are not for our members on the stage. However, some properties were spoiled.
Moving on, Uganda has passed the Uganda Human Organ Donation and Transplant Bill. This seeks to permit the donation and transplant of human organs. This bill, being signed by the President, will see to help Ugandans that have been flocking to countries like India to seek medical operations. We have more.
The Uganda Human Organ Donation and Transplant Bill 2021 is aimed at regulating the donation of organs, cells and tissues, as well as their transplant. The bill is also aimed at looking at ways of having storage facilities for the organs, but also ensure that it addresses the issues of illicit trade. According to the chairperson of the committee, Dr. Charles Ayume, the bill aims at protecting the dignity and identity of every person and guarantees respect for their integrity. He adds that the bill is for the benefit of all Ugandans since it is not money-oriented.
This is a non-commercial law, and there are several areas in the bill that say there is non-commercialization of organ transplant. And if we get you money exchanging hands, whether it's in a private facility, then the laws of the land, which we have clearly spelt, will apply. Jail terms of up to 12 years, penalties of up to 2 billion shillings.
Ayume also says that the bill has serious penalties for the offenders, especially those who will be caught trading human organs.
Here we're not talking about mild penalties. We're talking about penalties up to 2 billion shillings. Jail terms of up to 12 years. These are supposed to act as deterrents. So we're not talking about penalties of sweep around the courtroom and 100,000 shillings, 1 million shillings. We're talking about 2 billion shillings. Like, for example, if a hospital is, there is evidence that it has been engaged in organ trafficking, then the fine is 10 billion shillings. Organ harvesting in children, in the law, children are not supposed to be subjected to organ harvesting. And the penalty there is life imprisonment. We are not even putting a financial penalty.
The MPs say this is the first bill of its kind since Uganda has not had any organ transplant operation done before, and many people have had to travel abroad, which is way too expensive.
Bill, if signed into law, will allow Ugandans to access organs in designated medical centers so that they can survive.
It should be for free. That's why we are creating awareness, so people begin offering. It's like almost like blood donation. We all want blood at one point, but it cannot be manufactured. It's through people coming out willingly and donating blood. So it is something we are also trying to initiate through this bill, so that people know that through giving, you can save a life. Not only yourself, you can save a friend, you can save a child, you can save an elderly, and even a family member by offering to donate. Yeah.
The bill will be forwarded to the head of state for presidential assent before it can become a law. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Moving on to the consumer price index, the inflation rate of Uganda for 12 months to September has been at 10% from 9% registered as of August 2022. Data from Uganda Bureau of Statistics indicates that this has been affiliated by the driven rising commodity prices, particularly rice and sugar. We have more.
The inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index for Uganda for 12 months to September has hit 10.0%, up from 9.0% recorded in August 2022. According to Eddie Ganimba, the principal statistician at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the increase was mainly driven by the high commodity prices that increased to 8.1%, up from 7.2% registered in the year ended August 2022.
Price index for Uganda for the 12 months to September 2021 increased to 10.0% from the earlier registered 9.0% for August 2022. This was mainly driven by the increase in prices of commodities under core inflation that increased to 8.1% in the year ending September 2022.
Among the commodities that contributed to the increase in inflation was rice and sugar. Indices show that rice inflation increased to 32.2% in September, up from 17.5% in August, and sugar inflation increased to 29.3% from 21.1% in August 2022. Magoma Godfrey, statistician at Ubosi, attributed the high price of rice to poor harvest, and that of sugar was due to lack of raw materials.
What has led to the increase in prices for rice and sugar? As for rice, we remember we had very poor harvests in the previous season. So the local produce was relatively not good. That means the supply reduced. Now, we've been getting rice, importing rice from Tanzania specifically. And now, Tanzania, it seems to got a better deal with another country, whereby they have shifted most of their exports to that country, leaving us with very little supply. That means has led to reduced supply on our markets. As for sugar, this has come in because of lack of raw material, the cane sugar.
Currently, rice super is selling between 5,000 to 5,600 per kilogram. Before it was 3,000. 1 kilogram of sugar is selling at 5,500, and before it was 300.
Is to enjoying meat, maybe you can do beans that are cheap. Okay, beans went up, but what I'm trying to say is try to substitute with a cheaper product, because you now need more money to purchase the same basket of goods and services. So you just have to regulate yourself, and maybe adjust on the basket of goods and services you're consuming. Thank you.
However, there was a decrease in inflation of some commodities and the food crops and related items like onions at a minus 15.1% from 6.0%, watermelon at a minus 16.0% from 6.0%, among others. Betson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's hear more from Parliament. Now, the Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection has asked government to scrap off the current fee of 50,000 and a proposed one of 200,000 shillings, while replacing and correcting errors on the national identity cards. We do have details to this report.
Addressing journalists at Parliament in commemoration of the World Elderly Day due tomorrow, the chairperson of the forum, Flavia Kabahenda, says such charges have hindered the elderly persons from accessing their social protection fund from banks, being that one is required to have a NIN number.
The requirement of central banks world over that you will not be allowed to open any bank account without a NIN, a national identification number. So that is why older persons cannot be served by Centenary Bank or any other bank as long as they cannot present their NIN. The NIN is the basis for enrollment to SAGE, payroll, and subsequently to the beneficiary accounts opening by the payment service provider.
She also challenged government to explain the discriminatory charges on issuing birth and death certificates, yet the young and dead do not work.
The national identity card for adults is for free, but the birth certificates are for pay. I don't know where the children work for them to pay to be registered as citizens and nationals of this country. It's a shame, it's very laughable that the adults are given for free and the children must pay.
It's from here that the forum urges government also to scrap off charges on both certificates as it is on free national identity cards, and also relocate the head offices of National Identification Registration Authority NIRA from Kololo to ease access.
Let these processes be taken down to the people. The people should not come to Kampala, take NIRA to the people. I think that is something that is very, very important. Let us ease the process. It must be shortened. I know people who have gone beyond 3 months or even years to access an ID.
To get us a permanent home for NIRA, Kololo is no longer feasible. You recall, if any of you just now passed by Kololo airstrip, but locally there's a very big crusade. They have closed off the public. It's not working. You find this place working twice a week or once a week. Whenever there are national celebrations, it's a no-go area. So they are closed off. In the end, it is the local person who suffers by not accessing the services of this facility. So it's better, and it's high time we changed the headquarters of NIRA where these cards are printed from, where they are processed.
The MPs are also suggesting that the age of accessing Social Protection Fund be reduced from 80 to 65 years of age, being that few people clock age of 80. The celebrations for tomorrow's Elderly Day will be celebrated in Nebi District under the theme Resilience of Older Persons to Cope in the Challenging World. And the guest of honor will be His Excellence Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV. Business Today.
Food relief to the Karamojongs. Now the government has sent off a relief fund in form of food to the people of Karamoja, worth 20 billion out of the 135.2 billion shillings, as per the government's pledge. This follows the prolonged drought that hit Karamoja recently. We have more.
The famine has been attributed to a back-to-back fullness of problems of low crop yields due to locust invasion, followed by prolonged drought and floods, COVID-19 disruptions, and explosion of insecurity reportedly funded by cattle rustlers. Officials from different corners have tried to advocate for peace and stability in the Karamoja region. Esther Nyakuni, the State Minister for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, has therefore today led the flagging off of relief to the most affected regions, and 41% of the population will benefit.
Here, with the members of parliament from Karamoja, we have members of parliament from Kotido and Kabong district who are going to participate in the flagging of the district of food relief for the 2 districts this morning. I want to welcome you all to this function when we, the Ministry of Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, are flagging off food relief food items meant for the people who are severely food insecure, and these were affected by hunger in Karamoja sub-region. This is the food that was procured from the 20 billion, which was released this quarter, that the Office of the Prime Minister received this quarter out of the 135 billion approved by Cabinet for Karamoja.
Leaders from affected regions have called upon government to recover peace in the region, to create better environment for cultivation and a road for sustainable development.
Chido is one of the most hit districts in Karamoja in terms of food insecurity and also real insecurity of gun conflict. What has caused this situation? These are the aftermath of conflict, which has resulted into people not going to open their gardens, people not going to cultivate. These are effects of prolonged droughts, very hot droughts that started as early as January. Prolonged droughts affecting the crops. That's why we are looking at this situation. However, in a nutshell, the question of food insecurity will only be overcome if the insecurity question is answered.
The challenge of food security has been so much on Kotoro district because we have lost many lives. But I think with the food that is coming now, it is going to save some lives. I want also to appreciate the intervention by government of the seeds. I know my people did not have the energy to cultivate these seeds, but I think this food is going to help them cultivate these seeds. These are short maturing seeds of beans, green ground beans and cowpeas. So I'm very grateful to the government of Uganda for responding really to the plight of the people of Karamoja, and more particularly Kotido.
About 4 things that the government needs to do. One of them is giving relief if the poverty in Karamoja and Kabong district has to be fought. One is giving relief. The other one is restoration of whatever has been lost in Karamoja. People lost oxen to insecurity. Because they didn't have oxen, they could not open land. So a few people that open the land can test something now. But the rest that don't have are raiding gardens.
According to information from local leaders, 8 in every 10 Karamojong households have no or limited food, they say. Hunger-related diseases have claimed more than 900 residents since the beginning of the year. Desire Nambiru, Smite 24 TV, Business Today.
The Ugandan traders use the northern and the central corridors as transportation routes for their cargo. The northern corridor compared to the central corridor is highly preferred by traders, that's making it very busy. Bronya Katusime has details this report.
The main Northern Corridor transport network is connected to the port of Mombasa and includes a road network, railways belonging to Kenya Railways Corporation and Uganda Railways Corporation. The alternative transport network serving the landlocked Great Lakes region is through Tanzania, called the Central Corridor, linked to Dar es Salaam. However, efforts are underway to develop the required infrastructure both on Uganda and Tanzania side.
Import and export uses 2 different routes to Uganda. One is the Northern Corridor and the Central Corridor. That's by road. And the Central Corridor is from Dar es Salaam to Uganda, which is about 1,613 kilometers. And the Northern Corridor is from Mombasa Port, which is in Kenya, to Kampala, which is about 1,320 kilometers to Kampala. From Mombasa Port, we have about 28 hours. From Dar es Salaam Port, we have about 28 hours, while from Mombasa Port, we have about 19 to 20 hours using a truck.
Traders, with our partners, the consolidators, they prefer to utilize the Northern Corridor. than the Central Corridor. We have tried to engage with the Tanzania Ports Authority and the government of Tanzania because as we leaders in the business community, we thought Tanzania avails us with another alternative route, like for scenario where the elections in Kenya, which at times puts us on tension and at times they become unruly. So we thought that an alternative route can create a competitive advantage with the Northern Corridor. But the fact is that Kenya invested heavily in the infrastructure, the standard rail gauge, and even the road network, and even the efficiency in the clearing process.
Currently, road transport is more flexible than any other transport mode. It is easy to transport and track bulk shipments. The consignments can be secure and private. Schedule transport and pay the relevant fees. It includes the ability to deliver cargo from door to door with high flexibility and without need for further transshipment. The way motor vehicles network and cross national borders is quick and efficient. However, using road routes has its challenges.
Now, like in Kenya, it was security issues because even they try to steal our containers. They can break the containers and steal, and unfortunately, even when it gets an accident. So there is some bit of those illegal activities.
Naivasha Port was ready. But remember, Naivasha Port is connected from the sea, Mombasa to Naivasha. You use standard gauge railway. And standard gauge railway was constructed on a loan from Exim Bank. And the loan has issues. So we were being forced by Mombasa in 2020, by Kenya, to use the standard gauge railway in order for them to be able to meet their loan. However, for the few containers that were there, we made losses. Why? There was no infrastructure. And again, we do not have an arrangement of how we take the empty containers back. So it becomes expensive for you if you use a Naivasha route without a meter gauge railway.
Yeah, if you use by the road, the distance is longer. You can add 1 or 2 days. And then naturally the Tanzanians work at their pace. They are not so aggressive like Kenyans. Thirdly, Tanzania has also invested in now the standard rail gauge. They are trying to see that our appeal is fully implemented. And even, but the side of now Uganda, the Uganda Lary, is not very efficient.
The Northern Corridor, which runs from Kenya to Uganda and to other landlocked East African states, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, is always swamped with cargo trucks, making it the busiest. The Central Corridor, which passes through Tanzania, brings in a lesser volume of goods to Uganda. In fact, less than 2% of the cargo handled in Dar es Salaam nowadays is Uganda-bound. Bronia Katsime, Business Today, Smart 24 TV, driving business.
Let's cross over to ICT. Now, recognizing the vital role of information and communication technology in enabling innovation and digital programming is paramount for the economy. And thus, the International University of East Africa and the German government have launched digital classrooms, the first of its kind in Uganda's tertiary institutions. This will seek to improve the quality of lives and students here in Uganda. We have more.
That numerous schools and education institutions have the same long-term challenges, such as the lack of interactive teaching methods, unbalanced allocation of resources, and low management efficiency due to scattered students. At the launch, the German ambassador to Uganda, Mr. Matthias Thatcher, together with the International University of East Africa, introduced the Smart Classroom solution, which focuses on students and combines both online and offline methods to meet the interaction requirements in classrooms.
Connectivity, computers, interactive whiteboards, and smart devices. You call them smart classrooms. Like in traditional class, of course, you have a lecturer who presents the information up front, but the smart technologies embedded in these classrooms provide students with more opportunities to interact with the content they are trying to grasp, with the teachers, and with each other.
Of IUEA's continuous progress. We have our regular classrooms with Wi-Fi. Now we are moving into a new direction where we are bringing technology to bear on how we teach, because the way we teach today is what you will take with you out in the field tomorrow, whether you are creating your own business or whether you are working for another institution. So we very much appreciate the collaboration with Germany.
And I think your potential is huge because you have a lot of solar and hydro energy. A technical vocational training system mixing both the academic and the practical aspect of training, and that has been hugely successful. It is, I would say, the most decisive pillar for Germany's economic success. That we train masons, we train electricians, plumbers, and these people reach a very high standard in what they are doing. And I think in Uganda the vocational training is mainly focused on learning in a vocational training college, and I think more practical application during the training would be very helpful.
Sustainable Development Goal 4 aims at quality education, expanding it globally, especially to developing countries. Smart classrooms are one way of playing a vital role in providing opportunities for young people and adults who would otherwise not be able to interact with the content learned. In line with the SDG 4, Education 2030 focuses on equity, inclusion, and quality. Scholarships should be transparently targeted at young people from disadvantaged backgrounds. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24, Business Today.
Thank you for sticking with us up to this point. Business Today will take a short break. Please don't go away.